I'm just setting a timer here. I don't want to go for longer than 1 hour. Ututibuko kibine. Making it hard for lazy niggas to catch up. That's the line, right? Why are you nodding?
It is.
That's the line. Making it hard for lazy niggas to catch up. I want to give a shout out to Tribal Media House, man. If ever I stop working with Utebza and Sizwe, the guys who we've worked with, Abo Q, Abo Khomoto, Abo MK, Abo Yenzi, specifically Tribal Media House, I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity to work with people that are as passionate as they are about production, because this is fucking dope. And I'm honored and I'm blessed and I'm privileged every time I come on set to be with people that are actually so obsessed with what it is that they do. With Debs, I was like, nah, dog, we need to shoot a vlog. We need to shoot a vlog. I want to do something different. I want to make it difficult for lazy niggas to catch up. And I think that's why we have the set that we have today. I was reflecting the other day. Sorry, I just said a thing here so that I don't go for over an hour. And I'll just keep checking it every now and then. I was reflecting the other day because we had over 180 episodes. As I filmed this one, I think we're on 179 officially. By the time this episode comes out, we'll probably have dropped another 3. And I wanted to reflect on some of the guests that I've had, some of the episodes maybe. I won't be able to do a lot because of time and because it's a lot. I mean, 180 episodes is not a joke. But also because some of the people that I want to mention, man, it's been an emotional roller coaster ride. I wrote a list of 36 names out of the 180 episodes. 36 names. I'm probably not going to get through all of them. If I do only 5, that's okay. Let me not think too deeply. Let me hit. Rob Hersov, Rutendo Matinyarare, Nhlanhla Lux, Nota. 1, 2, 3, 4. Vusi Thembekwayo. Let me do those 5 and see how far I get. I invited Vusi maybe 3 times on what used to be the Penuel show. I'd met him before, we'd spoken before. I'd invited him prior to come to the Hustlers Corner / Virtual Mkook with myself and DJ Sbu. At the time he was in Dubai and he was like, soon as I come back to South Africa, I'll sit with you guys. Well, in his voice, of course. No. Soon as I'm back and because Vusi fethu nale voice yakhe yokuperform. It took 3 different attempts on the Penuel show to eventually sit with him. And even on the day that we sat, and this is something we've spoken about before, I think we were meant to like hit at 9 or 10. Guy would eventually rock up at 12. I was pissed. The team was like, no, bro, be patient. Because, you know, they're professionals and they're like, look, if he says he's coming, he's coming. I was annoyed. I was annoyed because it just felt disrespectful. I love mutual respect and I love professional people as far as possible. And if it's a character that's not known to be professional, it's okay. I mean, if you're getting that's a beggar in Auckland Park, if he rocks up 2 hours late, you're like, is a hobo on the street, so it's okay. But if you're dealing with someone that's sort of professional and you commit to a time, you kind of hope that they'll honor it. So I was annoyed because we'd rescheduled a couple of times, number 1, and number 2, because we were waiting for so long. So I'm like, look, if this guy really doesn't want to sit, I don't know why he doesn't just say, because he doesn't need to sit with us, and I don't need to sit with him. And if for whatever reason he really doesn't want to sit, why is he even like pretending to sort of want to sit? He'd eventually arrive in an amazing, I think it was an Aston Martin, coming in with, you know, the aura and the vibe and that he comes in with. And we had probably one of the most talked about podcast episodes probably in South Africa, if not the African continent. Because Vusi is amazing. at what he does. There are many people that don't like him. I used to joke about the way he speaks. Every now and then I still, kind of like just poke at the way, it's very performative, but it's his signature. It's his brand. It's what people know him for. There are people that hate motivational speakers or hate on motivational speakers, and they feel like Vusi is one of them. Guys just selling hot air. At times, I've questioned some of the ways that he moves, just as a person, just as a normal person. In the same way, you'd question the Forex guys, the crypto guys, the same way we question politicians. And this is not isolated to him. This is isolated to like guys at the highest levels, your Elon Musk, your Kanye West, where I ask questions like, is this guy just chasing clout? Is he trying to trend? Is he promoting an album? Is this guy a puppet? Is he trying to mislead? Does he suffer from some mental illness? But Vusi over the years has got a lot of sound bites and short clips that have really changed people's lives. Because the reality is not everyone is perfect. Not everyone is going to be consistently amazing to you. There are going to be times where you're going to judge people. I love using biblical references because the Bible is like popularly followed by a lot of people. And South Africa is apparently 80% Christian. You can imagine if you were Jesus's dude. You like Jesus Christ. You're like, hey, this guy's really cool. He speaks so well. The way he carries himself. The guy's a minimalist. He doesn't really judge people. And he like holds religious leaders to account. And you're like, I really like this guy. Then you see him like chilling with like slay queens. And you're like, manje chief. And then you see him chilling with like Abo Ket Matlala and Abo Katie Mulife. You're like, nah, I don't know what this guy is doing. In retrospect, of course, it becomes, Jesus didn't judge anyone. Jesus would sit with prostitutes and pimps and unsavory characters in society because he genuinely wanted to know them. He genuinely wasn't judging, and he genuinely was spreading peace and love. And in retrospect, it becomes a thing. So you are not going to love everyone. You are not going to love everything about a person, including your mom, including your partner. There are things about them that annoy the shit out of you. And it doesn't mean you don't love them. You can love Vusi and hate his accent. You can love Vusi and hate the people he associates with. You can love Vusi and hate some of his criticisms. But you cannot deny that some of the clips, some of the things he said would potentially take your breath away. We sat for a good period, and Vusi is a professional. Vusi has studied podcasting, communication, content, and he came in very different to most of the guests in that he wasn't coming to be interviewed. He'd done his research on me. He'd done his research on the podcast. He had studied some of the greatest podcasters out there, and he came there to genuinely have a conversation, which is so refreshing to me because very few of my guests, very few of the people in my audience actually understand that I'm a conversationalist. I'm not an interviewer. I can be. I have been. There are times when people are like, yo, I've never heard Penuel be so quiet. It's because I'm listening. It's because I have that ability when someone is imparting to listen. But I prefer conversation. I ask you a few things, you share, I engage in what you're sharing. You ask me a few things. I mean, Vusi would sit and ask me questions in that sit down. Ask me what I think about certain things, and not only ask, but genuinely listen and genuinely engage. You'd hear it in, some of the ad-libs. We were vibrating on the same frequency. That was really dope. We touched on a lot of things. Ancestors, politicians. He spoke about the destruction of the country. He spoke about how he thinks South Africa, we cannot stop the destruction. We actually have to move out of the way so that we're alive and we're healthy enough when it crashes and it needs to be rebuilt to be there for the rebuilding phase. How true that prophecy would become, I guess time will tell. I asked him about Sizwe Dhlomo, who, I generally don't engage on Twitter anymore. I don't know Sizwe personally. I've met people who know him personally. The closest we'd get would be Nota and Waras, where Waras would be like, nah, Sizwe's my dude, but he's a weird guy. He would say he is a weird guy. Nota would speak about the things that Sizwe has taught him about the industry, media, and other things, because Sizwe is quite clued up. Economics, media, the celebrity world, how things move. According to him, because he's always flexing online, he's quite well off. People will say that it's because his grandfather was ANC affiliated and which, sure, you know, in a country like ours where we're seeing first generation black millionaires and billionaires, the initial thoughts is just sell out. You must have sold the lives of black people or sold your principles and values to gain money from somewhere. So it's a valid criticism. However, outside of that, it's something that many people wish for. I'd love for my kids and my grandkids to be like, well, my grandfather built something great. My father built something great. That's why we're rich today. I'm not ashamed. But I thought it would be interesting that Sizwe would attack Vusi, because unlike Sizwe, Vusi is first generation. And I made a video many years ago speaking about you've got a beneficiary of, let's call it a trust fund for ease, and someone who's trying to build a trust fund. So Sizwe Dhlomo was almost like bashing and dissing his grandfather. Dog, but look at how you move. And you're like, you know, to build first generation wealth, you either have to be like, have a unique talent. LeBron James, Siya Kolisi, you're unique in what you have. No one has it. Or you put in a lot of work. So you go and you study in school and you get your maths and your science up and you study medicine and then you specialize as a neurosurgeon and you go and you build a practice and you take your practice overseas so that you're earning in dollars or euros and you become rich. That is through hard work, not necessarily pure unique talent, but incredible hard work. Then there's literally right place, right time. I was sitting in the room when the guys decided we're going to build Bitcoin, we're going to take over the country, we need BEE beneficiaries. I was in the room, they're like, say, Pen, look, we want to give you a piece of Sanlam. Pen, we want to give you a piece of Anglo. Like I say, right place, right time. That is literally winning the lottery. That's Powerball. I bought 5 Bitcoin because I was like, hey, I've got extra money. Who the fuck? Today, you're a millionaire. Right place, right time, you won. Then there's crime. However you want to package the crime. Apartheid, drugs, selling pharmaceuticals that you know have dire side effects and consequences of consumption. Crime. And arguably, the people that got rich during British colonialism in South Africa, apartheid South Africa, made their money through crime, exploiting black people, shafting black people off their land, squeezing production out of this country so that they can make a lot. And now when you get these BEE guys who get into the gap, it is like, but you guys are complicit because you, Cyril, are getting a piece of a crime. We're meant to be sharing this with the people that were in the mines, the people that were building the economy, the people that suffered, the people whose family members were killed. But they're not getting it. You're getting it because of proximity, which makes you complicit in the crime. Sizwe goes and he steals a car, a nice Ferrari, he sells it on the black market, he gets R1 million. I wasn't there to steal the car. I'm there as part of the people to say Sizwe Dube must be punished because he stole someone's Ferrari. And in that negotiation of we're trying to hold him to account, Sizwe was like, I made $1 million. Don't take my $1 million. I'm 200,000. And then 100,000, and then we'll take another 100,000, and then you can do charity work for the people that are angry. When I agree to that, I become complicit in the crime. I don't know if Sizwe Dhlomo's father is complicit in the crimes of apartheid and colonialism. But the story holds that he's an ANC beneficiary. I don't even know his story. I don't know if it's been documented. I don't know if Sizwe Dhlomo told the story. I don't know what businesses they've built. If they have, shout out to the Dhlomo family, shout out to him. Brilliant. But Sizwe is here today. You must remember, Sizwe is an entertainer. by and large. He is a radio DJ. He's a TV presenter. That's what we know him for. Is he a business maverick? Asaz. He could be. There are people like him, or Tutuzane Zuma, who could be a business maverick. Or he could just be a beneficiary of the Guptas. Asazi. But he's here today flexing on Twitter about how rich he is, what he owns, laughing at other people, speaking like he's the smartest guy in the room, which is very upsetting and annoying even for people like myself. He loves clapbacks. He loves getting his Twitter minions to come to his defense and laugh. He's a reimagining of Chris Excel to a lot of people, right? But at least he uses his face. At least he's got some credibility in terms of he works. Sizwe Dhlomo has to be in studio, dog. He has to put in some level of craft. People listen to him. And then he's a beneficiary of whatever privilege. And the little bit that he's shown us, he looks like he's doing some type of work. He speaks about getting certain equipment, moving certain things, maybe putting some deals together. I don't know. And on top of that, you see him sitting with Anelem daughter, who also, I think the father, if I'm not mistaken, is also a beneficiary of some political connection. But she's put in the work. She's built up a media, I think, business that is really worthy. Trevor Noah, same. Trevor, outside of these guys, he's not like Anelem daughter and Sizwe Dhlomo. He's actually first generation. And he had a unique talent. And he took his talent to the world and he became very well off. And then he worked with these guys. But Sizwe would constantly bash and attack Vusi, calling him a charlatan, trying to point out his fake watch, which he got as a gift, pointing out that he's lying and what. Could have been right. He could have been completely right. But in that, Vusi is like, I'm trying to build money, dog. I'm trying to become a somebody. I'm not a Springbok. I'm not a politician. I am not some super businessman somewhere. I don't have some advantage because the Thembekwayo family used to own thousands of cattle or used to own a supermarket or whatever. I'm not a tenderpreneur. I'm not stealing money from anyone. I'm not hijacking cars. I'm not hijacking buildings. I've got this little gift of speaking. I've got a curious mind. I'm willing to invest in it. I have, and people listen to me. Whether you can compare that to a pastor or a politician, people listen to me. And I've built my brand and I've traveled the world speaking. And you have a problem with the fact that I charge a certain amount for my speaking. You don't have an issue with Johan Rupert selling Mont Blanc and Cartier at an extreme price compared to how much it costs them to produce. You're not calling him a scam artist. Johan Rupert is a scam artist. These guys make bags for 100 Rand and then they sell them for like $1,000. You're not calling him a scam artist. I'm a scam artist for using my gift, which it's not AI, it's me speaking in a room where people booked me. No one was forced. There's no apartheid law that forces people to you will listen to Vusi Thembekwayo, you will book him. Because I'm taking my money and I'm buying politicians. I'm speaking and people are listening. People that can't even afford to come to my conferences and my talks are listening. Vusi is like a Trevor Noah, except it's not stand-up comedy, it's business education, it's motivation. And I'd sit to Vusi and I'd ask him, and Vusi would be like, fuck him. And I'm like, Baba. No, not on the platform. This is not podcast and chill. We're trying to get his kaka and you must say something that will trend. He's like, no, fuck him. And Vusi would stop engaging with Sizwe because he realized Sizwe gets off on the back and forth. And the minions would get off on the back and forth. And years later, every time something comes up about Vusi, Sizwe is still there. It's like, are you obsessed with the guy? People would crack jokes like, Khona wadlela omunye intombi la. Noma mhlawumbe uyamfuna. 1.4 million views as we sit today, which is a great number. I don't do sit-downs for views, but I appreciate the fact that it's got so many views and we were having an educational, stimulating conversation that was thoughtful, that was intentional. And since that day, people are like, invite Vusi back. We've spoken about, I told you, it took 3 times to get him. And I think he's said to me probably 3 times now, no, we must sit. There's times when I don't know what triggers him and he'll send me like a text. No, but when I'm back, we need to sit. And I'm like, sure, whenever you're ready. But because of my experience, I'm like, I'm not going to hold my breath. Whether it's divine intervention or whatever, we will sit again or not. Vusi is amazing. He can sit with anyone and be dope. The one thing he did say to me that I will take away is he was prophesying on me or wishing on me that I become the Joe Rogan of Africa. I'm not trying to become the Joe Rogan of anyone, but the fact that Joe Rogan is one of the biggest reasons why I started podcasting. The fact that Joe Rogan inspires me a lot. The fact that Joe Rogan still does the type of content that I'd like to do, that I'm into. I appreciated that from him incredibly. Vusi has become incredibly successful, travels around the world. He's got fans everywhere. He's a huge deal. He's been critical of our government, which I appreciate, in a space where so many celebrities are captured, especially by money. Vusi could easily side with any political party so that he can get money. I can imagine if he was to side with ANC or DA, because, white people love him as well. He could get certain tenders. He could get certain gigs in government that can make him a lot of money. But he chooses to be critical, which is really dope and refreshing for me. Yeah, a shout out to him. I think I want to say that, that's our most watched episode to date. It would have maybe been Dr. Umar Johnson, who I'm not going to speak about now, but that episode was taken down by YouTube because of so-called medical misinformation. And as much as I have issues with Elon Musk, like I said, you can't love everyone. I appreciate that he's made X, Twitter, a place where even if you bash him, he lets you be. The algorithm may not like you and you may not gain reach because it's his platform at the end of the day, but he doesn't remove your account. He doesn't censor you, so to speak. They may behind the scenes send you bots and stuff, but I appreciate that. Elon still criticizes government, still criticizes Donald Trump that he funded, and still allows us to have platforms where we can have some level of free speech. And it would be Elon Musk buying Twitter to expose that the government and the CIA in America had infiltrated Twitter. We're getting certain data from Twitter. We're asking the leadership of Twitter to push certain propaganda. And in that, it came out that platforms like Facebook, platforms like YouTube were being instructed by the American government to remove certain things, to push certain propaganda. That's wild. That's fucking wild. That's Vusi. Yo, I'm on a struggle. 23 minutes. I thought by now I'd have done like 4. Let me see if I can squeeze in 2 more before I shut down. I won't get to Nhlanhla Lux and Nota. 3 more. Nhlanhla Lux. No, Nhlanhla Lux and Nota. I said I'll do 2 more. Yeah, let me do 2 more. These ones I won't be able to. Who do I start with? Let me start with Rutendo. Anyone who's ever watched my sit-downs with Rutendo would have heard that I've known Rutendo for many years. We used to stay in the same complex. We'd have certain chats. And even before podcasting became a thing, Rutendo and I would post content on Facebook and other platforms. I was a huge fan of his educational mind, especially his historian mind. So I knew that bringing Rutendo on and allowing him to speak would be very educational. And I was so excited about the reception because I was like, yep, this is exactly what I was hoping for. I have met maybe over 100 Rutendos in my life. I've probably sat with maybe 3 of them. And I can't wait, when they are ready to speak, to sit with more of them so that they can influence and impact the world because they are great minds. These guys like Rutendo. And I know they will shift many people's minds and they will have a real life impact in society. I don't sit with Rutendo anymore. Rutendo is a Zimbabwean national who happens to have a South African ID. We don't really know. I don't really know how Rutendo got a South African ID. He may have mentioned it in a podcast, but I don't remember. I understand that he's from Zim. I understand that he was born in Zim. Did he stay in South Africa long enough to become naturalized? Maybe. And look, he waves his ID around proudly, which almost says, feel free to investigate. If ever I bribed an official somewhere, it should come out. If ever this is a fake ID, it should come out. But he posted proudly to say, Exe, I've got a South African ID, I can vote. So he's got South African citizenship, I'd like to think, and he's got Zimbabwean citizenship. I would sit with him because I wanted us to discuss Africa as a continent. I wanted us to discuss South African history. I wanted us to discuss the South African economy and who owns it. We've never actually had that episode, which I've been craving for so long, to say or to ask who owns South Africa. Let's do a breakdown. How this country came about, who were the initial guys or the conglomerates that ran the economy, how they morphed into other businesses and broke into smaller pieces, almost like Standard Oil by J.D. Rockefeller, and where we are today. We haven't done that sit down. Maybe we will. Life is long. I'm not the type of person to write people off forever. Life is long. People change. Opinions change. Interests change. But in our sit-downs, we would discuss history. We'd discuss African politics. And some of the clips that would end up trending on the African continent would be what's going on in Rwanda and Paul Kagame as a leader. Paul Kagame at that time was golden boy. He was the Ibrahim Traore of that time a couple of years ago, where it was like, here is a poster child of what a real African leader looks like. This guy puts Rwanda first. This guy cares about his country. This guy has transformed so much. They're cleaning up the streets. The economy is booming. What a man. What a legend. What a leader. What a champ. Rutendo would poke holes and bring in theories that I'd been hearing from various sources to say, Paul Kagame is not who you think he is. Paul Kagame is actually a warmonger. This guy is militant. This guy is a murderer. He's not this hero that you think he is. Yes, there's a lot of whitewashing that's happened, but that could happen anyway. Adolf Hitler cut down unemployment in Germany insanely. He had one of the best social welfare programs in the world. Education, the elderly, etc. He incentivized women to sit at home and be housewives and to look after the family. He was responsible for the funding and the investing of industrialists in Germany. Your BMWs, your Volkswagen was directly, because of Hitler, commissioning Ferdinand Porsche to say, we need a cheap car, a functional car for the folk, for the people. Volkswagen, the biggest car company in the world. Hugo Boss, you can go and find a list. So you can whitewash. Doesn't necessarily clean all the blood off your hands. And more importantly, Paul Kagame's role in the instabilities and what's happening in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Fast forward today now, we hear of what would happen with M23. We see Paul Kagame basically threatening Cyril Ramaphosa. But to Cyril, because we Kuala, number one, and number two, because he serves Western interests, he wouldn't respond. I mean, he didn't fucking respond when he sat with Trump, and Trump was literally saying, hey, Baba, look at what's going on in your country. He was sitting there like an imbecile trying to struggle. Where is that? What? Very embarrassing for a so-called sovereign nation like South Africa. Very embarrassing for the ANC. Very embarrassing for black people. But for many of us, we're like, but this is what Cyril is, though. You shouldn't be surprised. This guy serves capital interests. He's not there to discuss Julius Malema and so-called white genocide. He's there to discuss with Trump and Elon Musk, how do we get Starlink in? How do we make more money together so that you guys can loot South Africa better, so that we can also benefit from America in some way, and so that we can be a gateway for you guys to loot Africa? How it's been by many of these so-called fake leaders on the continent. Even before the presidents, many of the kings and the chiefs on the African continent were selling slaves to the slave traders. This is history. This is not my theories. These are things that are there. Paul Kagame is not that. These guys, where's Rwanda getting money? How's the economy booming? How are they building some type of beneficiation and refinery places where they're not mining? It's because of the DRC. And there would be links with him and the leaders of the DRC. And even now, they sort of brokered peace. And where was it brokered? In Rwanda? No. In the DRC? No. In South Africa? No. It was brokered in America. Washington. African leaders sitting in America going to negotiate peace tells you everything you need to know. Rutendo would raise this. Along with speaking about other aspects of Africa, South African politics as well. And he would tell me later on that as much as that episode went viral and those clips went viral, he got calls from people in Zim that are working with Kagame and other people in the DRC. He had calls from people from Rwanda. At the time, I believed him. Sounded plausible, and again, some of the intel that I've received is that Kagame, like many other people, has got decent intelligence operatives around the world. And you must be careful of how you speak about him. And it's not just him, it's also because he's a proxy of certain interests. So be very, very careful. And I was like, you know what? I understand. Today, I don't know if Rutendo was overhyping his importance and the things he was saying. Could have been lying. But I was just raising what he was raising in that podcast episode, which is still available to watch. Some of the other episodes we'd sit on would involve me and him debating. Him saying that he believes the ANC is still the best vehicle for Black South Africans. And I'd challenge him. And I'd ask about Julius Malema and the EFF having a sort of Pan-African view, especially for someone who's passionate about Zimbabwe and the removing of the borders. Like, no, Julius is a puppet. And you have to ask, why the ANC? And later on, he'd sort of, maybe not the ANC. And then he'd start bashing the GNU. I'm like, yeah, but... And he's like, yeah, but the DA. I'm like, but the DA is working with the ANC. And you said we must vote for the ANC. Okay, maybe not the ANC. I'm like, yeah, look. One of the things I'd appreciate about Rutendo would be his deep passion and patriotism for Zim. We hadn't had that in a while. Someone who was saying, guys, Zimbabwe needs to be helped. These are our brothers and our sisters. They're struggling. Robert Mugabe, similar to a Hitler, known for many bad things, but a lot of really good things. Getting his people back their land. The land could have been taken by some of his cronies. That's debatable, but he took the land away from colonial beneficiaries. Something that South Africans are still crying about today. There's that meme that is sort of like a joke of Robert Mugabe saying, I got my people back their land. Your president, Nelson Mandela, left you guys with poems. He got them the land. At a time, Zimbabwe had the best education on the African continent and the highest literacy rate. At some point, Zimbabwe had the fastest growing economy. It was an industrial hub. It was number one in tobacco. It was a big gold miner. Industry manufacturing. Some of the products we had in South Africa were being manufactured in Zimbabwe. People wanted to trade with Zim. And then, of course, the agendas sort of didn't align with the West and other. And he'd tell about Tony Blair, you keep your England, I'll keep my Zimbabwe. Rutendo was like, we need to help Zim. And I was like, this is something I can vibe with. I'm not Zimbabwean. I've got a Zimbabwean link because I went to Rhodes University and I had a lot of friends from Zim there. And I was like, this is dope. Here's someone who's saying, guys, visit Zimbabwe. Please visit the country. Things are not as they seem. He would inspire me to start thinking about the concept of artisanal mining. Mining built South Africa's economy. Mining cartels run mining. They've captured the ANC, of course. A lot of them are foreign owned. And we have a so-called pandemic of zamazamas, illegal miners. And Rutendo's like, okay, they're illegal, but they're not illegal because necessarily what they're doing is wrong. They're illegal because of legislation. If you guys can change the legislation, you can take these so-called illegal miners, train them, make sure they have good equipment, send them in shafts where there's like some type of protection, and let them go mine and feed their families. I'm like, Hey, that's dope. We need artisanal mining. Why does Gwede Mantashe and the ANC, why are they not investing in artisanal mining? This becomes the value that I'd get from Rutendo. How do we get involved in Zim? It's easy to mine in Zim. You can be an artisanal miner. These are the opportunities. These are things we can do. Al Jazeera releases a documentary, the Gold Mafia. Simon Rutledge and all these guys in Zim, the Dubai links, South African banks, where I'd go and do research of Umzi Khumalo, an ANC BEE beneficiary, one of the biggest miners in Zim. These are the stories people don't know. I'm like, okay. I speak to Rutendo, he says a lot of this is just misinformation, it's whatever. I'm like, yeah, but let's have a real chat, dog. If you guys are so-called sanctioned, as you say, how are you able to move resources? Where is the money going? Because Zimbabwe, we know it to not have money. The people there are saying, no, these are all lies. Show us, because I meet Zimbabweans every day. And if Zimbabwe is so great, why are Zimbabweans here? Why are they here? And at some point, especially with the financial sanction and the grey listing, which would eventually befall on South Africa, which apparently we're out of now, whatever the fuck that means, Rutendo started getting aggressive in the propaganda. That's when people started saying, this guy is actually a mouthpiece for ZANU-PF. And I said, look, if you're a mouthpiece for ZANU, bro, just say it. Number one, there's nothing wrong with that. Number two, make sure that you're getting paid. Number three, if you are a mouthpiece, allow us to criticize. Allow people to criticize Mnangagwa, Emerson Mnangagwa and others to say, okay, if you guys are claiming all of this great stuff about artisanal mining, show us so that ordinary Zimbabweans who are working as hairstylists and waiters and car guards in South Africa can go home and mine. Come on, bro. These guys love home. They go home every holiday. Talks about Mnangagwa's daughter. Talks about some of these rich guys. I don't know their names. Abo, said Wicknell. There's these names of these, our equivalent of BEE guys in Zim. Very rich. Boss cars, social media, hot hands. And you're like, there's a problem somewhere. There's a problem somewhere there. But Rutendo is not letting up. And he's not being honest about some of the ills. That's the first problem. It's not really a me problem, because it's like, okay, maybe this guy's like, let's just focus on the positive about Zim. Someone else will do the negative about Hopewell, Chinono, and the guys. Cool, whatever. But then I watch some of his videos. I look at some of his tweets. I look at how disrespectful he is to Zimbabweans who are crying out, his own people, him bashing Zimbabweans who are trying to hold Zimbabwean leadership to account, healthcare and the likes. And then his incredible arrogance and bashing of black South Africans. And I'm like, look, I know black South Africans have got problems. We bash them ourselves a lot. You guys vote for the ANC. This is so stupid. Why are you guys not sure? But you're a Zimbabwean. Your focus should be on like pro-Zimbabwe. But you're on social media every day, almost obsessed with attacking South Africans, highlighting South African issues. Njalo uyayifaka Rutendo. And I found myself getting upset, even as someone who saw him as a friend, as someone who had sat with, someone who had sat with him. Many people would say, stop inviting this guy. You are enabling an empowering guy to keep disrespecting us. And I don't do things for the public and for the audience, but I was like, look, I can see that. I can see that Rutendo comes here and I asked him to come speak about something, Cape Independence. He was like, be very careful of Cape Independence and Orania, because this is how Israel started. And now we're hearing stories about Israelis buying property in Cape Town. That's valid. That's dope. Rutendo, let's sit and discuss like other issues. Let's talk about what's happening in the DRC, what's happening in Tanzania. What do you think of Ibrahim Traore? Let's speak about, somewhere in there he's going to want to bash black South Africans. Bash Operation Tutula, of which you can criticize Tutula. Right now, the High Court is saying that it's unlawful for them to block people, illegal foreigners, from entering South African hospitals. Bash Operation Tutula, but he's tweeting pictures of the leaders' children. I'm like, this is not in good faith. This is now hitting below the belt, and this is actually wrong and demonic. He's accusing them of certain things of which there's no proof. when he's asked certain questions, the spinning, I mean, we know spinners, right? I mean, there are people that are meant to be spin doctors. They sell propaganda. No, it's not that with Cyril, unfortunately, this is not how the law works, protocol, and you're like, this is spinning. What Rutendo is telling us that the reason the war ended in the DRC is because of him. No, it's not. He went there, he interviewed some people, but his videos didn't go viral and get quoted in news headlines, and it's not him. But he's like, I did it. There were cases opened around the grey listing in Zimbabwe, and neither ZANU-PF, Emerson Mnangagwa, or any of the reports credit the ending of that to him. Played a role, had some impact, 100%. But it's like, it's me, boy. That's me. And I'm like, nah, this is like aggressive spinning. Black South Africans are doing this and they're killing who? No. So because I saw him as a brother and a friend, I would get on Twitter, and especially when people would tag me, I would read what he tweeted in the spirit of building, not destroying. I would be like, look, Rutendo, I think you're sort of being unfair here. I think you're wrong. And then he'd attack me personally. And I'm like, hey, this doesn't make sense. He'd constantly be sending me a lot of his long videos and posts on WhatsApp DM, because he'd do that a lot. He'd blast me with all of this stuff. I don't know if he wanted me to watch it, maybe to repost it. I guess this was his form of pushing his propaganda. I believe in propaganda, by the way. I believe in propaganda that is meant to serve your people. But I do not believe in propaganda that is meant to destroy other people, especially using lies. So if you want to tell us Zimbabwe is the best country on earth, my man, by all means. Zimbabwe's got the most promising economy, by all means. When you're going to say Zimbabwe is fucked because black South Africans are maybe destroying Zimbabwe or they're not allowing Zimbabwe, you're lying. If you're going to go online every day and bash ordinary South Africans who are crying about getting documented, you want to inflame people about removing borders where South Africans are not allowed in Zim unless they've got papers, where you're going to inflame people and make it seem like Zimbabwe ended apartheid. Come on, dog. That's disrespectful. And those of us who like you and respect you now can't agree to that. The last straw for me, at least, was there was a piece on Twitter around healthcare in Zimbabwe. Hopewell Chinono, great voice, also trying to help Zimbabwe, but coming from the other side of saying ZANU is the problem. Writes a piece, Rutendo jumps in there, now they're debating this thing of the healthcare. And Hopewell is like, Rutendo, you can say what you want, bro, but Zimbabweans are crossing the border to access healthcare in South Africa. They are overburdening South Africa's healthcare system. It can be tracked. You can see that these are undocumented people. These are Zimbabwean people. So how dare you lie and tell people that our healthcare is advanced, we have equipment and machinery South Africa doesn't have? You're lying. You're literally defending the rot that we have in Zim. But it doubled down, and I'd come in here and I'd say, Hopewell, thank you for sharing some of this data. These are the conversations we're meant to have in the spirit of trying to help Zimbabwe and in the spirit of trying to help South Africa, because we're trying to help. And Rutendo would come there and bash me personally there, calling me names and stuff. And I was like, Rutendo, this is where I get off the bus, unfortunately. Thank you for engaging, but he craned. Months thereafter, I'd post stuff, he'd still want to comment under those things. I'd just ignore. I'd blue tick. DMs on WhatsApp, I ignore. It's sad because I think Rutendo's got such great information. He reads a lot. He's got a great mind. He can offer perspectives that are very educational and inspiring, and that should be helping us to work. I wish he could be focusing on things like getting as many South Africans as possible to travel to Zimbabwe and showing them how to become investors so that black South Africans can invest in Zimbabwe. And taking Zimbabweans to South Africa legally to see how they can invest here. And having sit-downs with undocumented Zimbabweans to say, guys, South Africa's taken us in. You guys shouldn't be here. You've broken the law, but be thankful. See if you can help somehow. See if you can pay some of the tax so that you can say, look, there are taxes we pay so that when the Zimbabweans come here, we also contribute. See if you can bring certain money from outside the world, not only into Zimbabwe, but into South Africa as well, and don't just come here to destroy. Don't hijack, don't steal, don't kill, don't do these things that make us seem like bad people. But he's not doing that. Instead, he's inflaming and bashing ordinary black South Africans, who many of them were even fans of him. And it makes me sad. I do appreciate that my sit-downs with Rutendo would expand my audience to many parts of Africa. Having traveled to different parts of the world, China, South Korea, Russia, the United Arab Emirates, our neighboring countries, places like Ghana, Ethiopia, even though it was passing through. I appreciate that part of the conversations with meeting people about the work that I do would be, hey, there's also this Zimbabwean guy you sit with. Hey, thank you for those sit-downs. That was cool. And it was a reminder, and I guess it's a reminder for me now, that Africa is desperate for authentic, transparent voices that are going to discuss African issues in ways that are not discussed. And raise the topics that so many people are scared of raising. The cartels that run the African continent. Questions that are uncomfortable, like Ibrahim Traore de-linked Burkina Faso from the French, but has he gotten a new handler in Russia? And if the answer is yes, it's like, okay, nothing wrong with having a handler, but what are the terms and conditions? Are they better than the French? Cool. Is there a long-term plan to say, look, Russia is going to be our handler now. They will help us with intelligence, with weapons, assisting us with building nuclear energy, and many other things. But we've spoken to them to say maybe in a 30, 50 year, we're hoping to detach and become legit business partners, where we trade with each other, but as brothers and not as a parent-child. Or are we going to be seeing in future a situation where Burkina Faso is now just a Russian colony? And you're like, but you're back to square one because you guys didn't learn from your past mistakes. We can't have those conversations because many Africans love cult leaders. Ibrahim Traore is the beginning and the end. He's the Alpha and the Omega. Paul Kagame is the beginning and the end. Nelson Mandela, Robert Mugabe, Kwame Nkrumah. You cannot question our leader, Julius Malema. General Mkhwanazi lead us. And I'm like, no, they must lead us. But what is the agenda? Who's funding them? Who's arming them? Who is going to benefit if these people get their way? Is it going to be the people on the ground? Top Togozile. Is it not? Then who are the stakeholders? The Guptas are running businesses in South Africa. Okay, are they taking the money out? Or are they reinvesting it in South Africa? Are they creating jobs for South Africans? Are they giving more BEE shares to ordinary black South Africans? Then okay, maybe the Guptas are not that bad. But are they funneling money to Dubai, to India? Is the money being concentrated with a few politically affiliated people to Jacob Zuma? Then we've got a problem, because this is no different to the Ruperts and the Oppenheimers. But now we can't criticize Jacob Zuma. Hey, when you tell Ubaba, yeah, it's because you're a coconut and you're a sellout. I'm like, you unfortunately are just not a thinker. You're a zombie. You're a cult follower. There's a desperate need for fresh voices on the African continent that can highlight the good, criticize the bad, ask the questions. And I want to thank Rutendo, man, for that. And it would be nice to have more people to sit with. Pascal Mukadi, my dear brother from the DRC, is someone I've sat with to speak about his life. And he said when the time is right, he'd like for us to speak about the politics of the DRC. And he confided in me on the side to say, our politics are complicated. I wish it was as black and white as these guys are right, these guys are wrong, but it's not. It's complicated and there are a lot of different interests. So if we do speak about the DRC, we need to speak about it and treat it with soft gloves because it is a sensitive matter. So I hope at some point I sit with him, if not with him, someone else. The DRC as a country has got the potential to enrich the whole of the African continent. Let me say this again. The DRC as one country with the mineral wealth it has, if it was treated like the United Arab Emirates, just with that wealth, the DRC could be the kings of Africa. And all of us Africans could live like Emiratis or like the Saudis. We could be well off and we'd need to hire people from India and Eastern Europe to come and work here for us. Just the DRC alone. If you add the oil in Angola, if you add the oil in Sudan, if you add the minerals in the Sahel region in Western Africa, if you add the oil and gas in Nigeria, if you add the wealth in Southern Africa, we are the wealthiest continent on earth. Everyone knows this, except for most Africans. And unfortunately, we have puppet leaders who serve the agendas of other people and not the citizens here. So thank you to Rutendo Matinyarare. And it does make me sad that we don't sit anymore. It does make me sad that I think he lost his way. Like I said, life is long, man. If he can humble himself, introspect, come and confess his sins and be like, the devil made me do it. I was lost. I was a lost sheep. I've been found. I'd be very happy to sit with him again. But if I see some of those signs, I'd be like, this is what we're not about. We can't be doing this. I don't want to be a platform of destruction. Other people can do that. Nothing wrong. I don't have to be the platform. You can call on others. Invite this guy. I'm not going to invite Rutendo back if he's going to be bashing South Africans for raising real issues, for raising issues that Rutendo is hypocritical about when it comes to Zimbabwe and other places. I'm not going to do that. He can go on any other platform. Please. I've got no issues with that, but I will not do that. My conscience doesn't allow that. The audience that I respect so much will not allow that. But at any given time, if he wants to come and sit and talk about something else, fit, you're out. Snaploma, sringe. And I think if ever I do sit with Rutendo again, and he does the things that he does that I don't like, it's going to be either I don't upload the episode or I'm legitimately just going to cut that stuff out. And be like, there's things that he said that I cut out because I'm like, I'm not going to be a platform for that. He can go and do that somewhere else. He's got a following online. He can go and do that there. Two guys that I've discussed. I said, I've got 37. It's not going to work. Let me do one more. I've got 8 minutes, and this next one is going to take maybe 20. Let's see how far it goes. Rob H. Robert. Hey, Robert, dear chap. Studied at prestigious schools in Southern Africa. I was never delusional about Rob Hersov and his agenda, contrary to popular belief. If you go back to the first video I made before I'd met Rob Hersov, I spoke about his speech at the Business News conference, and I spoke about this is what white people want. They want black people to behave. They want black people to be good employees, and if they feel black people are skilled enough, good enough, they will then bring them up to the table to enjoy certain levels of privilege. They'll let you be a manager, an executive, a director, a chairperson, as long as you behave. Because their agenda is to make money in South Africa, to preserve the wealth that they have, to scale the economy, of course, to make sure that it's relatively safe and peaceful here. That's what they want. I'd meet Rob, document it, spoke about it. It's part of my story now. We got along. Rough around the edges, but nothing abnormal for me. I've known white conservatives, white racists, white liberals, different types of white people my whole life. I have an understanding of sort of how their mind works. So I sort of get that even when some of them are being racist and being inappropriate, sometimes they don't mean it, sometimes they're not even aware, sometimes they think it's funny because in their stupid little circles, they all laugh at these dumb things. They think because they say it to some of their black minions, they think it's okay to say it to everyone. We're not the same. Blacks are different. We're not some homogenous group. Maybe your maid and your gardener and, Moses, who you normally give a tip and he gives you a big smile, and Susan, that you're like, oh, Susan is like my sister. Maybe you can fucking gaslight them and be patronizing. It's cute. But we're not the same as blacks. Not all of us suck white dick and need a white person to kind of keep us alive. I'm so sorry. that we're not the same. I'm so sorry. And this is why I would upset a lot of white people online, because I say things that are uncomfortable to them. I'm a disrespectful kafir. Like, I'm a fucking bold kafir. Like, a note at some point would literally be that. Like, I'm a kafir, it's fine. But I'm the kafir that's gonna fucking tell you your shit, your business. Not like the other kafirs. I don't give a fuck if you call me a kafir, because it means nothing to me. Because I don't need you. I don't care about you. We'd speak about rugby. We'd speak about the economy. We'd speak about politics. We had a lot of aligned interests. And this is the interesting about life, right? You don't align with Hitler because you're Jewish and you're from Israel. Fuck Hitler. After saying fuck Hitler, you go and you jump into your really nice VW. That's dope. Cool story, bro. You hate Hitler and you love your Hugo Boss perfume. Hey, I won't judge. You hate Trump. America's a pile of shit. It's oppressive. Hey, I fucking hate Trump. Let's go talk about Trump and have McDonald's. Did you see that YouTube? Hey, bro, live your best life. People are not binary. Rob Hersov himself is not a binary being. I can't completely hate Rob or completely love him. This is why I can criticize Umalema and give him kudos, compliment him. And to some people, that's flip-flopping. Because, look, we don't have the same size brains. Peanuts for brains. And when you try these things, like, you overload and short circuit, so I think it fucks them up. I can disagree with Julius and then be like, look, I'm a big fan of some of the work Julius does. Rob and I both appreciate rugby. I love rugby. I'd like to think way more than he does, and I'm more knowledgeable on rugby, but like, I'm a rugby guy. He's a rugby guy on surface. Oh, go Boca. I, like him, would like for South Africa's economy to grow. Rich white South Africans and politicians love this gaslighty line. It pisses me off like you can't believe. All we need is economic growth. You know what this country needs is economic growth. Fuck economic growth. Because when the economy grows, there is no automatic filter to the people. When your company doubles revenue or profits, there's no guarantee that you're going to hire more people. You're going to invest in the communities. You're going to give more scholarships. If anything, we're seeing big white companies sitting on cash reserves, putting money offshore, investing, delisting from South Africa like Naspers, going to Amsterdam. They could have stayed here and grown the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. They don't do that. So fuck economic growth. And clever blacks in their nice corporate jobs in the banks, Pen, look, I don't think fuck you as well. Fuck you and whatever you studied at school and your qualifications, and you sit in boardrooms and you read Bloomberg and Forbes and you think you know better. Fuck you. Because when you guys also make money, you guys move out of Ekasi, you guys go and buy in suburbia, you stop shopping wherever you shop somewhere else, you stop sending your kids to your money doesn't filter back. You grew up in Makaya, in Msinga, in Kandla, or maybe your parents did. Then you guys moved to a town, Newcastle, Albertine, some nice town. And then your kids now live in Joburg, Bryanston. Can you show me a direct line of how your kids living in Bryanston empowers Nkandla, Mutu, Msinga, Ofimvaba? There's no line. So the fact that your family has got family economic growth doesn't filter down to your extended family. They're living on grants. They don't have jobs. They're addicted to drugs. So whenever we need economic growth, I listen and I always just want to be like, fuck you, shut up, shut the fuck up. But we both agree that South Africa needs economic growth. We probably disagree on what should happen once there is economic growth. We both align on the fact that the ANC is a fuck up of a political party. For different reasons, sadly. For Rob, it's clear that he's not in the inner circle. You know, the circle of trust. Magushu, Robert De Niro's character there in Meet the Fockers, circle of trust. Well, Rob is not in the circle of trust. Adrian Gore is in the circle of trust. He gets along with the ANC. He's one of the funders, I believe, there. Martin Kingston, the face of the Rothschilds in South Africa, or Rothschilds Africa, he's in the circle of trust. He's an advisor to Cyril. Stephen Sard, Aspen Pharmaceuticals, big money off ARVs and the COVID vax. He's in the circle. Rob Hersov's not in the circle and he's sad. So he bashes the ANC for that reason. I think if he was in the circle, I think if Gwede Mantashe was giving Rob Hersov and his circle of mates mining licenses, I think if the ANC was saying, Rob, we really want to sit with you, we want to give you carte blanche on airports company South Africa, please tell us how to go forward. Oh, Rob would love the ANC. He'd sit there and defend Cyril. But he's not in the circle and that pisses him off. Yes, we agree on service delivery. The ANC has failed. They are corrupt. I agree. It's a fuck up. I just don't agree with that part. Same way when people speak about Jacob Zuma and the Guptas, I'm like, look, there's many things I like about Zuma, but the money that was looted in Kandla is something I'll never ever support. The Guptas need to not be defended by ordinary people. They must defend themselves. They can make a documentary. I am Atul Gupta. Tell us the story, how you came into South Africa, how you were friends with Nelson Mandela, how you were friends with Thabo Mbeki, and then later on you were friends with Jacob Zuma, and how it would be Jacob Zuma who would assist you with your vision you had from when Mandela and then brought you in. Tell us the story. And then tell us how you built your empire, Sahara. Tell us about, I think it's Optimum Coal Mining, Tegeta, I'm not sure. Tell us about the tenders you were getting. Tell us about all of that. Tell us how you got Tutuzane and Tutuzile, Zuma on your board, and what was the point of that? Were they proxies? Tell us. Tell us how you built ANN7 and the New Age, and why you brought Mzwanele Manyi on board. Tell us about Brian Molefe and the deal that happened with the vendor financing with Eskom. And tell us, good, look, the reason we were brought in is because we were supplying good quality coal at a fraction of the price that your Glencores and other guys were supplying. The reason we were washed out is because Glencore and these guys were like, fuck these guys. But they're giving us cheaper coal, yeah, but we want to make money. How are we going to become rich and fund politicians and fuck shit up and go to Dubai if these guys are giving you cheaper coal? Get the fuck rid of them. Who can we send? Call our boy Cyril. He's got our back. He's had our back for a while. Tell us. Tell us if any of the money left the country. Tell us if you guys got rich. Tell us if there were bribes paid. So that we can be like, you know what? The Guptas were kind of fucked up, bro, but hey, I think I prefer them. They look better. If ever there was a reimagining of Pakistani spaza shops, let's call them Mexican. Mexicans come into South Africa illegally. They set up spaza shops. They're selling expired, close to expired foods. They run cartels in the background. And like Pablo Escobar, they take that money and they donate and they sponsor local soccer teams. And you see the Paliwe. Viva la Soweto. Like, hey, you guys are sponsored by the Mexicanos. Come on. And you see them investing in schools. And there are kids saying, you know, we have scholarships. You know, the Mexican spaza shops are donating to us and there's food and we see it. You'd be like, look, the Mexicans are wrong, but the Mexicans are better than the Pakistanis. Because we're here now. Because there aren't black people that are organizing themselves to actually take a real shot at taking over the economy. They aren't. Whether they're not good enough or they fight with each other, they kill each other, whether some are just puppets for other people, whatever the case may be, they just aren't. There's a better chance of Nigerians coming to take over our economy. There's a better chance of the Chinese. There's a better chance of Pakistanis, Bangladeshis or Bengalis. There's a better chance of Russians coming to take over this country than black South Africans coming together to say we will build a fucking stokvel and we will buy out the entire JSE. And anyone who tries to stop us, we will expose them on the highest levels in the whole world to see exactly what the fuck is going on. We do not have that, unfortunately. We aligned on a lot of things and we had a lot of good chats. And we debated on a lot of things, capitalism, socialism, some of the views on certain politicians. We debate Julius Malema where he hated Julius. And I told him, but Julius is not for you. Julius is a voice for other people and he works for them. I may agree with you that I think Julius is a face. He's not really legit. He loves money. He's making money backdoor. He might be serving certain interests. I can agree. Those theories may be plausible. But I can't agree with you that he's useless because he's a voice for ordinary black South Africans who don't want to listen to you, Rob Hersov. Because you guys are rich. Filthy rich. So, nah. You guys want Cyril. You want Cyril and Herman Mashaba and Musi Maimane to try and pacify angry black people who are waking up in shacks. No. They want Julius. They want Andile Mngitama to be like, hey, fuck white supremacy. If you want to counter that, then show that you're giving a better deal. I sat with Rob. We had great chats. I enjoyed it. I wanted just to have chats with him. And I actually also just wanted to hear the story of his family. His grandfather has got a great story of how, they built Anglophile Mining, which would eventually become Anglophile Mining and then Anglophile Industries, AVI. I think there was another break off, Avenge, Anglophile Engineering. Them and the Menels, what would happen second generation with his dad? His dad, by the way, is linked to the arms deal. Good relationships with the apartheid government. These are things that are not discussed. You'd hear some of these things when loose mouth, very loose mouth, Errol, Musk, would sit with Abo McG and Abo Sizwe Mpofu Walsh and just dish. Sit with the apartheid ministers and these were the things. They're like, Chief, I don't think you are hearing that you're literally telling us that you're a fucked up human being and you were complicit in Amasimba. Anyways, Basil Hersov would be involved. And shout out to Rob's dad, man. I've got huge respect for him. I've got huge respect for the fact that he's in his 90s and still going strong. I've got huge respect that Basil Hersov told Rob, I'm not fucking moving to Cape Town. I'm a Joburg boy. I'm going to remain in Joburg. That's proper royalty. So shout out to Rob's dad. I've met Rob's kids. I've met his wife. I've met a lot of his friends, some who are really, really great business people. And that's an incredible privilege for someone like myself. I mean, all I had to offer was a platform and a voice. Unfortunately, my voice is not for sale. So if ever Rob wanted me to be a mouthpiece for whatever agenda he's pushing, he failed. This is why I'm not a part of the Truth Reports platform. It's got Ronaldo Gous, it's got Garrett Cliff. There's, I think, 2 or 3 black people, lacquer puppets for Abo Rob to play with. Unfortunately, they don't have much impact. I believe he tried with me. But again, I'm not that type of black. It doesn't work. And like, you can't buy me a Mercedes-Benz and a nice house in Sandhurst like Oliver Tambo, or a nice house in Houghton like Nelson Mandela. I'm a different breed, unfortunately. But I'm also not Steve Biko. I'm not fucking trying to get killed. I'm not Chris Hani. I'm not trying to get killed. I'm here for everyone. Let's all be lacquer. Hey, let's all pipe down, guys. Take it easy. But I'm not that black person. I'm not Ukatleho, citizen concerned, that white people absolutely adore because all she does is bash black people and fucking blow hot air up the asses of white conservatives. I'm not that. I can like aspects of AfriForum, and maybe I'll speak about them when I speak about Adams van Sale at some point. But I can also like Gift of the Givers, of which many people are like, yeah, that's a Islamic terrorist funding, whatever, man. I don't pick between Israel and Palestine because I generally don't care about both. I've got Muslim friends who are pro-Palestine, and they must support Palestine because they are Muslims there. That's what they must do. Those are their people. I've got Jewish friends, some who have Israeli links, who are very pro-Israel, and they must fight for their people and whatever their agenda is. I'm not going to pick one. I'm not Israeli, I'm not Palestinian. And I'm not getting funding from Israel. I'm not getting funding from Palestine. And even if they try to give me money or donate money, if you can just, I'm not going to do that. What I could do is you could come and speak on the platform about, I want to give a perspective on Israel. We're happy to pay for the sit down. Please, by all means. And you can come and spread your propaganda. But please expect me to ask harsh questions. Expect me to push back. But if you expect me to just play along and, oh, that's a cool story. No, I don't do that. Even if I let you speak and push all your propaganda on that episode, I will still go and make a video on the side and say, no, I don't agree with some of these things, but look, this person is representing the state of Israel or whatever the case may be. They are whitewashing. I will say it. This is what makes me different. I struggle with running far away from the truth. I may keep secrets. I may keep certain sensitive information because I think it will cause harm, unnecessary harm, and I don't think I'm the right voice and platform for that. I'm not General Mkwanazi. I don't have an army behind me. But I can't play along to destructive truths. If I find out you're involved in like human trafficking, serious drug cartels, prostitution rings, and dark things, I'd rather want to move away and not want to be associated with you, unfortunately. Fast forward, because there's a lot to be said. Donald Trump gets reelected as president of America, and the white conservatives / racists, they are in their element. Woo, Kismuzi. It's a party. They are so emboldened to be outright racist. And because South Africa has got a pathetic president being Cyril, a pathetic governing party in the ANC, a pathetic opposition party in the DA, and just no real leadership, to be honest, that puts all South Africans first. And by all I mean, including white people. AfriForum, Solidarity, Rob Hersov, many of the conservatives, the Kifness, your Ronaldo Gous and these guys, just go out there spewing the biggest load of fucking bullshit. Locally, and even worse, Rob Hersov does a podcast tour in America. Lying about what's going on in this country. This is Rob who travels the country with no security. And even though he says inflaming things to and about black people, they meet him in airports and they want to take selfies. Hey, Rob Hersov, how do I know this? Because he sends me the videos and the pics. People that come to me and they're like, hey, I met Rob. Hey. Rob is so safe here. For a long time, Rob was loved here. Rough around the edges, kind of disconnected, too privileged as a white person. But it's like, wait. A beneficiary of white wealth accumulated in funny means, speaking out. How refreshing. Please can Jonathan Oppenheimer pull a Rob Hersov and come forward and chat to us. Please can, I think it's Anton Rupert Jr., Johan Rupert's Lighty, come forward. Come chat to us. Please can Pete Mouton, Yanni Mouton's son, come chat and let us know. You don't have to be like Rob. You don't have to, say gaslighty things and so stupid. And no, you can just be like, guys, I just want to come talk. I want to tell you my perspective. Where I think maybe we did things wrong, even though they were within the law. Where we think things are wrong now, even though some of them are also within the law. And we chat. Rob Hersov and a lot of his friends and a lot of his supporters do not care about South Africa. They don't care about South Africa. They care about making as much money as possible off this country and off the African continent. They care about preserving as much of their wealth as possible. By the way, his friends include colored and black people as well. They want black people to be passive, the majority of them. And they want any talented black person to be on their side and their side alone. You can't be highly educated. You cannot be well established. You've built your own businesses, blood, sweat, and tears. You cannot be well traveled around the world and well versed in how the world operates and be against Rob Hersov. Are you fucking stupid? It blows their mind that you can be all those things and disagree with them. That's why they even bash other white people Some who come from privilege, who are against their agenda. Dan Corder, Peter Kriel, even these guys that are within Cyril's circle, your Adrian calls and they're like, oh, those guys are, ah. And you're like, they don't agree with your way of doing things. You guys are lying about farm murders and the numbers. On top of that, you are conveniently not mentioning that most farm murders are of black people, black farm workers. And that some of the farm owners that get killed are black people. Conveniently. No, but we didn't say they were white. Intentionally so. We're not all stupid and ignorant. Yes, big chunk of the world is stupid and ignorant. We are not. When you say farm murders, we know exactly what you're saying. White people, white farm owners, white Afrikaans people. And you refuse to give the numbers. And you refuse to give the numbers in the context of the greater country. And it doesn't help that Elon Musk would jump on this train and Donald Trump would jump on this train because that emboldened them even more. Asking for ANC leaders to be sanctioned. Pushing weird propaganda to a point where Grok, the AI tool on Twitter, which is why Twitter and X must be taken with a huge dose of salt. People would ask questions that had nothing to do with South Africa. Grok would respond saying, the farm murders and the white genocide. To tell you in real time, this is not artificial intelligence. This is curated algorithms which pull data from a certain pool and feed back a certain agenda. Oh, sorry about the mistake, we're fixing it. No, you're not fixing it. You want to carry on hiding the propaganda. But hey, Elon, you and your dad, Errol, are beneficiaries of apartheid and colonialism. You're a beneficiary of whatever the fuck is happening in America. You're a tenderpreneur in America. It's a cool story. And you hate immigrants, even though you're an immigrant yourself. Cool story. And you guys want to protect your rich white friends in South Africa and push propaganda. I get it. But it's upsetting for some of us who actually want the truth. We're not even here to push propaganda. We're not going on the other side saying, no, white people are killing black farm workers. Whites are killing us. Look at that. We're not even like lying on the other side. We're actually just trying to tell the truth. But you guys are trying to push such aggressive lies. Rob would do that. The guys at AfriForum Solidarity would do that. The ANC government, the so-called GNU, would not punish them at all. Because they're useless, because they're captured, because they're complicit. Any half-decent leader of a nation would immediately intervene, seeing citizens going to other nations and lying about things that have a real-time impact on your country. Cyril, if he ever had like half decency of being a leader, would have very aggressively said, this is incredibly disrespectful to me and my people. It's very upsetting that I'm sitting here right now. I'm here out of respect. We're trying to build relations, we're trying to fix trade, but this is incredibly disrespectful that you guys would lie and perpetuate this lie about my country. But Cyril is shocked. Oh, fucking Crimea River. He's shocked. And after he's being shocked, he does fuck all about it. Doesn't call solidarity, doesn't whack them over the head, doesn't call Rob Hersov out. Fuck all. It's us dumb podcasters, us useless people on Twitter and on YouTube who now have to fucking defend our country when there are people earning over 100,000 rand a month meant to fucking put the country first. We idiots with 20,000 followers have to fucking defend the country as if we are paid ambassadors. I'm not Natim Tea Twababa. I'm not paid to be an ambassador of South Africa. And now I have to fight. This is not fighting podcasters. I'm not fighting Patrick Bet David. I'm not fighting Joe Rogan. We're fighting Elon Musk, $500 billion Elon Musk, and Donald Trump, the president of the United States of America. We have to do that because we don't have leaders. Rob Hersov would accuse me of being a black racist. I'd laugh if it was funny, but it's not. I'm a black racist. The Kiffness, both went to the same school, Michael House, shout out to Michael House, would double down on that as well when I would counter certain bullshit propaganda he was peddling on Twitter. Rob was right about you. You are a black racist. These guys pretend to be non-racialist. They pretend to care about South Africans. They are the most diabolical type of person you can get that actually pretend they are good people. It's fucking crazy. Next to them is white liberals who claim to be like, oh, black people, they incredibly dangerous. Steve Biko cautioned us against them. Malcolm X, Al-Shabazz would speak about it, very dangerous people that are seen as the voices of black struggle. Very careful. Be very careful of Dan Corder. Very careful of Peter Kriel. Very careful of Kim Heller. Very careful of Carl Niehaus. These white people who are saviors of black people who are going to go fight other white people on behalf of blacks. Be very careful of them. I'm not saying they're bad people. Be very careful. But right next to them are these white people that claim that they are for the goodness of people. They know better. They care about merit. They don't fucking care about fuck all to do with merit. Very happy to sweep under the carpet very quickly the atrocities of the past. And hiding behind, oh, what has the ANC done? Fuck the ANC. But why can't we also speak about apartheid? Oh, come on, apartheid again. That was 30 years ago. 30 years ago, you're still chowing that fucking money though. 30 years ago, give all of that back then. It was just 30 years. Let the benefits go. If you want us to let go of the ills of the past, I will be the first person to say, yes, please. I'll say, you know what? The apartheid card, here I am. I'm now putting it away. But before I put it away, I need you to also take your apartheid benefits and put them on the table. Because I'm not going to put this fucking apartheid card away while you're living in a huge mansion that was built off the blood and sweat and exploitation of black people. You must rather not talk. I'm not saying give your wealth away, keep it. Shout out to you and your ancestors that conquered black people. You guys did well. Siyanbonge. But don't come and gaslight people today. You are not the person to speak. I want to listen to the white kid, the real white kid that comes from poverty. I know them a lot. The mom was a nurse. The dad was a deadbeat. The dad was a police officer. The mom was unfortunately addicted to drugs. This boy needed to wake up every day, walk to school, cycle to school. Yes, it wasn't in the township, but it was in a poor white area. And he applied himself and he studied and he went to gym and he made first team rugby and he got a bursary. And he studied hard at tertiary, and now he's a white guy who's struggling to get a job because he doesn't meet BE credentials. I want to fucking speak to that white guy about how apartheid, he wasn't there, and so I can explain to him, bro, trust. I feel your pain. You are now suffering from the consequences of something you didn't even benefit from. But I need you to transcend that. I need you to see how you can win regardless of your circumstance. But I don't want a multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire to come fucking gaslight us. That's the equivalent of Kopi, Mutsipe's son, or Andile Ramaphosa, or Tutuzane Zuma getting on a platform and being like, we black people are so poor and struggling. No. Chief. Whoa. Who's we black people? Say, black people, they are really struggling and explain. Don't we're struggling and our mother. No, not you. Not you. You might say it because it's a benefit for you somewhere, sure. But don't come gaslight people. We are the previously disadvantaged. You're not the previously disadvantaged. You're not. You're rich. You're well off. You and the Mouton and the Becker and the Oppenheimer and the whatever, Rupert kids, you guys can fucking sit on podcasts and shout at each other, you benefited from apartheid, you benefited from BEE, but you remember at school we beat you at rugby, you guys can do that. But now you want to sit with real poor kids, black kids, and come and be patronizing to them and tell them to get over apartheid. coming out of a private jet, coming from a mansion, going to a school that costs almost R500,000 a year to school. When an expensive school in this country is 30,000 Rand a year, that's expensive. 95% of South Africans will never smell a school like that. 30,000 a year. Aye, Baba, that's a private school, Baba. It's not. Private schools are like 100,000. You're so detached from the real world. You mustn't speak. But now you're lying. Called me a black racist for saying that the DA is a racist party. For saying why I don't support the DA. But at the same time saying I appreciate that the DA, pushes really good service. They do what they can specifically for their people. They're struggling in the Cape Flats. Johan Rupert, when Rupert would sit in the White House looking at John Steenhuisen like a slap tiger. We spoke to him about the crime in the Western Cape. Hey, John Steenhuisen is sitting there like a loser, like, ish. Time, hardy. That's a person unlike Cyril who's got fucking balls, who was like, in the Western Cape where we're from, gangsterism and drugs. It had to take Johan Rupert to say that. Chigi, Ramaphosa is telling ANC councillors, you must see what the DA is. What a chase. What a chase, Bantaba Mnyaman, Mogen Vuge. And get near bafethu uyithatha njengehlama la emhlabeni. Let other people take you guys for a fucking puss, man, but not yourselves. Ngempela mfethu Ramaphosa noMbalula mabefika niyaxhuma. Ngathi kufika uFather Christmas. Hayi bafethu. Ayinani nje ngibuyeni nginyanyisa, to be honest. I enjoyed getting to know Rob. I really appreciate the privilege of being in his circles and meeting the people I met there. And his effort of trying to link me with certain people. That was really dope. Again, I was never confused about the agenda, but I was never ready for the complete lack of any sort of empathy, the complete disregard for poor people, the unashamed bravery of aggressively spreading lies globally, and having the goal to call good blacks like myself racists. I'm a good black, speak good English, speak some Afrikaans. I sit with white people, I have white friends. I've sat with your other good blacks, Musi Maimani, Herman Mashaba. I've sat with your AfriForums, we've visited your Oranias, trying to do what is called nation building. But it seems it's only some of us idiots who care about nation building. The guys at the top don't. They really don't. They care about pacifying the masses as much as possible. I think I would be better used if I was making Christian content, asking black people to turn the other cheek, getting black people to forgive, because, that is Christ's values. Jesus Christ forgave. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Forgive Rob Hersov, Father, for he knows not what he does. That's what I must do. I must go make him a piano so that Odak, he can dance and escape. Or we must sell drugs to pacify black minds. I must be an ambassador for alcohol, knowing full well we have a huge alcohol problem in this country. I must be an ambassador for online gambling, understanding how it's hemorrhaging poor families. The money that they didn't have, they don't have even more now. That's what I should be doing. I should be telling black people to vote for the DA and to support the GNU. It's our best hope. I must support Cyril because he's trying. He's just unfortunately dealing with Zuma's 9 wasted years. That's what I must do. Because my asking critical questions and trying to have critical discussions, politicians don't care about it. Big business doesn't care about it. And from what I'm seeing, the poor masses don't fucking care. Good blacks in the middle class, they're just trying to work their way into the real elite circle. The poorer middle class is just trying to stay above water so that they don't sink back into poverty. And us imbeciles, retards, idealists in the middle that thought maybe there is some kind of nation building, we can sort of come and get together. You know, if I just speak to the guys at AfriForum and Orania and Abu Rob and white conservatives, you know, guys, just give me a chance. Like, I understand these people. I'm sensitive enough to their plight, and I can take the racist jokes and like, let me get through, I'll get through this. I failed. I failed spectacularly. And we're here now. As I said, life is long. Rob is old. I don't expect him to change at all. I don't expect his agenda to change at all. But I could expect him to maybe apologize. He made some really gaslighty video on his channel directed at me. Pen, I'm spreading an olive branch. All of the fucking losers in the comments were like, oh, Rob, that guy's a race grifter. You know, you're a bigger man than him. Yeah, fuck all of you. It's whatever. I didn't respond to that shit. If he wants to apologize, then maybe we can speak about other things. Cool. Speak about the Springboks or whatever. But the politics and the what and the things that they're doing and the propaganda they're pushing and the lies on the Truth Report and others, that's not for me. I'm good. I'm good. And if the only thing he ever wanted from me was to try and hack me so that he can use me as a tool, because I know white people are waiting for the next Nelson Mandela. If that was the only thing he was trying to do, then I'm sorry. Tony Leon said this about Musi Maimane. I'm unfortunately, Rob, a failed experiment. I failed you and your people. So sorry. It's worth a shot, right? It's worth a shot. I'm a failed experiment. I'm not that person. And it was nice getting to know you. And we don't have to engage anymore, if that's all it was about. If it was about anything else, we can chat. Like I said, I'm not a binary person. But I'm also not like the black people you're used to. I may not have Patrice money, unfortunately. But I know a lot of you guys don't respect Patrice either, which is kind of sad, because you know, Jay-Z would tell us in OJ, the story of OJ, still nigger. Might have a car, might live in this house, might be known as a billionaire, still careful. I'm not that, unfortunately. I'm really not. Yeah. Vusi Thembekwayo, Rutendo Matinyarare, Rob Hersov. Some of the guests we've had on what was the Penuel show and is now known as Konvo. So it's meant to be an hour, we're on an hour and a half. Fuck.